Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Ultimate Doctor Who Marathon. This is the show where we look at every classic Doctor Who story plus a bunch of big Finish audio dramas, one episode a day, 7 days a week. Now, before we begin, because in 2019, YouTube was caught data mining the information of underage users, therefore violating the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, or COPPA, they released... They reached a settlement with the United States government and implemented new policies meant to dodge responsibility and scapegoat creators, meaning I have to ensure everyone understands that this video is not meant for children. It is not marketed towards kids. It is not advertised towards kids. Doctor Who is a family show that kids can watch, but this video, as with all the videos on my channel, are looking at it from an adult perspective. And therefore, we'll be discussing adult topics and themes. Viewer discretion is advised. It is the 23rd of February, 2021, and we're starting to look at The Mark of the Rani, the third story to feature the fourth story, because time dilemma. The third story of season 22, but the third story of season 22, but the fourth story to feature the sixth Doctor, which is an interesting story, in a lot of regards. Mainly, this is one where we're going into history, and we are doing something interesting and something cool. We're doing something interesting with history, and it's a story where I can actually praise the writing. It's the first story from Pip and Jane Baker, who are two writers who become infamous for their low-quality scripts. Though at least this first episode is actually good. It's not great, but it is a good episode. Pip and Jane Baker are perhaps most famous for wordy dialogue and things, but here you see them under the hand of script editor Eric Sayward, and it works better. The script is tight enough. Now, there are plenty of problems here. Honestly, a lot of them could be solved with another rewrite. But something that I really think works really, really well, the Doctor and Perry get involved within 15 minutes of the episode. And because that is, that has been an issue in the past, especially with what the story, what other stories have done. This is a very different sort of story. I really like a lot of what it's a very, very different so it's a very different sort of story, where we're going back into history. We're looking at the Luddites, George Stevenson, and the sort of a bunch of different things, and that creates an interesting it's a story, about things, but you have this character of the Rani, who is not so the Rani, our villainess here, is probably the best part of the episode. She is, evil and ruthless, and you don't actually ever get to see that as a sort of a thing, a thing that actually has dramatic weight or dramatic potential. This is this is just her as the evil thing, and it's, well, also the Master's here, and that's where things make a problem. This is a story where the Master seems to be more of the protagonist, while the Doctor kind of takes a back seat. Like, the Doctor's unraveling the mystery of the Luddites and gets to it eventually. He gets captured by the Rani. We get a rundown of who she is, and that is, that's her ending. And he gets captured and rolled down a hill, and that's our cliffhanger, which is a good cliffhanger. I like the cliffhanger, but the actual stuff with the Rani isn't the most interesting thing. She's really sold by Kate O'Mara. Like, yeah, we get the mad scientist thing, and she is interesting, but it's really Kate O'Mara's performance that makes it work in, well, any sort of capacity, really. O'Mara is one of those performers where you just sort of get her, her style. She brings sort of this big, a good sense of class to Doctor Who. She was well known for sort of the theater at the time, and she was considered for other roles in the show. This is a long time coming for her, and having her here actually gives a lot of fun, and she's clearly enjoying herself, especially in the old age makeup. She's clearly having fun being a ham and hamming it up and playing off of Colin Baker and Anthony Ainley. And Anthony Ainley's also having fun, though the actual plot is where things go weird. Like, she's like, why is the Master dressed up as a scarecrow? That makes no sense. Like, it's one of those things that's just like, oh, it's a thing that happens in this episode. It is given dramatic weight, and it's like, you don't need that. Like, okay, I get having the Master survive, because the Master always survives, but the Scarecrow thing is just weird, and you don't ever actually get to see it it doesn't actually, like, it lasts all of a few minutes, with Anthony Ainley, being like, oh, like, taking off as soon as he gets into town and sees the bathhouse where the Rani is. Like, he comes across the corner and it's off. Like, why is he a scarecrow? It's also, interestingly directed. Sarah Helens directed this, and she deserves some credit for her direction of this story, because it's a good, well-directed episode. There's a lot there for her, as a director to have fun with, and it's a different flavor. This is the only story she ever actually directed, which is kind of a shame, because she, was decent at it, and, it gives the historical aspects of the story some real needed weight, in proceedings. Her direction was fun, and a lot of this episode is just fun. So overall, I'm going to have to give part 1 of The Mark of the Rani a 6 out of 10, because it's not even like that great, amazing episode. It's okay, it's good. Alright, it is the 24th of February, 2021. I just finished watching part 2 of The Mark of the Rani, the second, obviously, concluding episode. and I once again have some thoughts. So I think this one's actually a really good one. Well, not really, really good. I think it's actually a step up from the first episode. Even though the first episode, even though this one has a very famously goofy sort of thing with people being turned into trees at a tree that moves and saves Perry. That's the big thing that lets this one down from being really perfect and amazing. I'll even admit that that definitely lets things down just a little bit, probably more than just a little bit, because it is the, oh, we have trees that people become, but it is a very fun, very almost fast-paced drama, just with what you get in this entire story being everything with the Doctor, Perry, the Master, and the Rani. Now, this is the episode where you get to see where you get to see where you get to see the where you have the Doctor, the Master and the Rani working together in some very, very fun, very, very cool, very, very cool scenes. Like, it's this very very different different things where it's this very, very different sort of story. Mainly because Kato, Mara, and Anthony are clearly having fun in these roles. They are clearly bouncing off of one another as just these, doing this amazing job of just giving us such a fun take on both of these characters, and I love the energy between the two. It does this amazing, this sort of great thing. Pip and Jane Baker's writers write stories that are generally over the top, and while that's not perfect by any means, and that's something that you perhaps want to avoid, in a lot of cases, it isn't necessarily a bad, terrible thing. Like, it's not the perfect thing that the story needs to be. It's really telling a it's It's the story where you first get the actual feeling that the Doctor and Perry really are friends and good colleagues, and not just characters who whine and moan at each other, which is, is definitely something that's a problem, and has been a problem with Doctor Who, with some of the other scripts. Obviously not Vengeance on the Varos. That one's really like, this is the one where you feel for the first time they are friends, and by this time, that change is enough. The change is enough to make things different. It's it's this very different, very this very heavy based story, where the plot is essentially built around sort of the camp factor and the insanity, because this is a story where the story goes for the bonkers nature. It goes for the over the top. Okay, let's do something crazy with our premise. We're telling a Doctor Who story. We're not telling something amazing, and I think that it knows what it wants to be. I'll also say the set direction for this is great. I love the Rani's TARDIS. It is such a good it's such a good it's such a good set where you get everything there, and like it's this sort of futuristic set. It's a TARDIS that isn't just a redress of the Doctor's TARDIS, and I appreciate the production office for doing something like that. Like you make it different. It's such a different a different sort of thing, that I think is just it's a good way to tell the story. And Perry gets saved by a tree. It's different, and it's weird, and it's playing around with these things, and having the Master and the Rani trapped in the TARDIS as a T-Rex grows is just such a funny image. And it's not meant to be taken that seriously. there's just something there where the story ends where it needs to end, and it tells itself something different. So I'm going to give part 2 of Mark of the Rani a 7 out of 10. That being said, we added the scores and average up to give the Mark of the Rani a final score of 6.5 out of 10. Thank you everybody for watching this installment of the Ultimate Doctor Who Marathon. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already, and click the little bell icon so you don't ever miss an upload. What do you think of this story? Let me know. I think it's better than most people give it credit for. A lot of people seem to hate it, and it's one where you get to see, a lot of different things going on. So, join me next time when we take a look at the final televised Classic Who multi-Doctor story, A Return of the Centaurans, for the first time since a return to television since the Tom Baker years, and the return of a 6-part format, though in the form of 3 actual episodes, with Doctor Who, the 2 Doctors.